So what is the most hardest thing for you to take pictures of? If you didn't guess it, it is actually this, jewelry. It is reflective, it is very hard to take pictures of, and it glitters all the time. For you to take amazing pictures with your camera, we're going to go into behind the scenes store where I'm going to be using my Canon. I'm also going to be using some external lights, and I'm going to be showing you step by step how you can achieve amazing professional results with your camera and amazing white background. So it looks super professional, like as if it is a $10,000 studio. Let's get started right now so you can learn how to do this all by yourself in the comfort of your own home. First off, you need a big external light. What I'm using here is the Doorcast system over here. You can see the difference on and off. Take a look at how much extra brightness this actually gives you. So one other thing that you need to do is when you're using a light, you have to shine it directly where you're shining it at. But you cannot just use the actual LED itself, because if you're using just this, it's not enough. In fact, it's going to make too much of a shadows into whatever you're taking pictures of. It's going to be too much straight on. So what I use over here, I use a deflector right on here, and you can use a cheap deflector as well. Just make sure it doesn't overheat. This one was for around 20 extra bucks, and I added it to the Doorcast system. This specific one is not a motor light. There was a motor light as well, and the motor light, it gives you an ability to change the light tone, so it has two different tones of the light itself. Don't get that version because you want the brightest possible setting, and only this one gives it to you. Next, you want to do, make sure that you point this exactly where you want to. Sometimes you want to bounce it off the ceiling so you don't get direct light shining, especially if you don't have something like this, which is a deflector. If you don't have a deflector, you bounce it off the ceiling. If you do have a deflector, you can go straight on and to do it right over here. So now that I have everything set up, I want to show you how you do it with jewelry, because jewelry is very tricky for you to take pictures of. So first off, you need a few things here. One, you need to have some kind of external and side lights for you to use. I like this specific light over here. It is an LED light, and you can shine it in every direction. So this is a little bit different than using the one that goes straight on, because with this one, what you're going to be doing is making sure the light actually works for you in the way you want it. So if you want it from the top, you can use it from the top, you can use it from the side, and you can use it any way you actually like to go ahead and put the light on. By having different kind of lights over here, you can go ahead and make the best that you can. And you're going to be working with different lights as well. So you can use side lights too. And one of the lights I have is this one over here, which is a side light that you can use over here. And when you use the side light, you have to position it in a way so the light goes directly on it from this side. And of course, having different lights is going to make very nice pictures for you. One of the things that I like to do is having a big, huge light all the way at the top of the screen. So let's go ahead and show you. So this one is over here, is the light that I use, which is a shop light. And it gives me the best possible images for whatever I'm doing, because it is a big and it is a huge light. Of course, the best light for you to use is to have the specialized light that I use all the time. The specialized light is better because it gives me the best possible images, and it also gives me the most light. As you can see here, it totally floods everything with big light source. So this is good when you're taking pictures of jewelry over here. Now, one thing for you to keep in mind is that you can't always take a very good picture when something is laying just like this for jewelry, just like that on the floor, because jewelry itself is something that depend on the angle, the actual thing right here would shine, and because it shines depending on the angle, the light by itself doesn't become very good. So what you have to do is to position it down. Like you can see over here, I position it all the way down. And then what I'm going to be doing is taking picture of it right there. Now, I'm also using a specialized lens over here. And this specific lens, as you can see, has an ability to light up the subject from here. It has its own light in the actual lens. So that's another way for me to get extra ability to take pictures. So the whole key here is for you to work with the lights to create the subject, to make it very bright in a way that you can take pictures, but that is not the ending over here. There's another way for you to work with the lights as well. And over here, right there, is the thing here. So what you're using here is brightening this up or making it darker. As you can see, the more you move it, which the plus and minus, you're making it more bright and darker, but be careful with that. If you make it too bright, you overblown the highlights over here. If you make it too dark, it's even worse because there is nothing you can do to change it. So therefore you have to find something in the middle that gives you very good image quality and makes the picture look pretty good as well. And lastly, use props. So this is a prop I'll be using over here, and when you position the item, you're going to make sure it looks really good, and then you're going to be taking pictures, and then make sure you are stabilizing things. Make sure this is stabilized when you're holding it. Don't shake it. And with the auto ISO, you don't necessarily get the best possible image. You want to go ahead and go for something like 200, maybe 400, and see how it comes out. The lower number, the better the picture is going to come out. If you do it too high, it's definitely going to be pixelated. So I want to get it around 200 if it is possible, but if it shakes, then that means you have to either use image stabilization in the lens or in the actual body, or even better, if you use a tripod and you can go for 200 instead, and it's going to get you very nice pictures for whatever you're taking. Overall, this is what you do to get the most amazing pictures and images. You have to work with the light, you have to work with shadows, and specifically you have to make sure your camera setting is correctly right for whatever job that you're doing. A more advanced technique is to use this following system that I'm going to be showing you right now. And this is great for white on white photography as well. And for jewel photography, it's going to make it super professional looking. So the first thing you need is some kind of light that is light on the bottom over here, and we can just turn this on. It is great if you have some kind of a diffusing light or something light on it, so it's not as bright. Next thing you need a piece of glass that goes right over here. The glass all by itself is going to make this even more amazing and beautiful when you have the finished image all at once. So you need some kind of a glass for this system to actually work for you. Next you need another kind of a light source. Now we can have two different kind of light sources. We can have light that is shining from the side, such as this right here. You can also use a camera system light if you have some kind of a system light that goes right from here, and in this one it is built right into the light macro system of the actual Canon, which is the 28mm macro. And we can even make it even brighter, or make one of them go in and out as well, so you can see both of them, or just one of them, or even how hard they're going at once as well, and you can turn them off too. Now the next thing you can actually do here is to work with the whole entire system over here, which is plus and minus system. We can see the plus and minus, and we have to go all the way with the plus to make it as exposed as we can, so it is like super white, and then the yellow is going to be on the side as well. So that is something very important. You can see right here the actual image itself and how beautiful it actually looks, and it cannot actually tell, as you can see, trying to focus. Here we go, we're focusing right on here, and now it looks like super white on absolutely nothing. To make this even better, we have to go right about on the side here, but we have to make sure that we are not actually filming part of the glass, so we have to move a little bit in here so the glass is not showing up as part of it. Another secret to make this to work is to find a flash, and a tripod. So the tripod over here is a super low tripod that I'm using, but you can use any kind of tripod for you to achieve the same results as long as you're pointing exactly this way. As you can see right here, the photography itself is really extremely dark. Take a look how dark it is right now. You want to have it much more lighter for us to work with whatever we are taking pictures of in making a video. Right now we have a sharp light that's working all the way from the top, and we have two different other sources of light, including a room cube over here and a small different LED light that I'm going to be using as well. This is off brand one. It doesn't matter what kind of brand you'll be using as long as it does the job right. So let's go ahead and set this one off, turn this on, and there is different shades of brightness we can use for this one. I don't suggest for you to go for the highest one. In fact, use the lowest possible setting first to check out and see how it works for you. Definitely much better than before. Now we're also going to be turning this on and trying to project the light from two different sources. One from this side and one from the other side. Sometimes it is best for you to go ahead and do three different sources of light. One is coming from the top, one from this side, and another one from the other side. As you can see right now, this looks so much better. It almost completely eliminated all the shades over here. Sometimes we have to just work through the intensity. You can see that this way is just too dark. This way is much better. And we have to position it a little bit farther away. Keep on upping the brightness. And this looks way better. Now the subject is much more illuminated. Just have to keep working on where to position it in order for us to get the best possible lighting for the subject. But you can see over here that with the side light, a lot of shade going this way, and you can tell how everything works with the shade. For example, if the shade coming from the top, it eliminates, but we have the bottom having a lot of light and making a lot of shade over here. So there is always going to be some kind of shade coming out with the lights. Unless you have so much different lights or so much high intensity, there's always going to be some kind of shade, but it's up to you to decide which is the best shade for you to work and which one makes the subject look the best with the shade that we have working on. Definitely better than this, which is no lights whatsoever. Another option for us is to work with the onboard lighting system with the plus and minus in the camera itself, and to use that in order to illuminate the subject. Then of course to use a little bit of the side light. As we can see, we're using the side light over here as well. And altogether, this seems to be the perfect combination, using three different light sources and plus and minus with the camera itself by upping the exposure level in the actual camera. Altogether, this looks like a very perfect setup, eliminating most of the shade and making this look really the best. So now is the best thing for us to do is to go over all the pictures that we took and to see which ones came out, what is the issue with some of them, and how did it look like after we did all this work. So let's go ahead and check it out. So first off, this one came out fabulous. You can see the details, and those are the edited pictures. After you edit, you fix everything in there, because a lot of times when they just come out, there was a few things that you need to edit in them regardless. This one is nearly perfect. As you can see, I just needed to add a little bit of saturation and a little bit of exposure. So this means this picture by itself was nearly perfection. Let's check out the next one. A little bit more saturation, a little bit of exposure. This is almost no editing whatsoever that being done in them. This one had almost zero editing as well. I just adjusted the levels just a bit. There was always something that you have to do, an additional edit that you can probably add to the picture. In this one, just more saturation, and that's it. There was nothing else that was needed to be done. And in this one, there was more in here. You had to add contrast, you had to add saturation, you had to add more exposure, and the levels have to be moved up much more because the picture didn't come out as good. In this one, a little bit more exposure and levels as well. So you can see over here, some pictures do not come out as good as they should. Others came out beautiful. And let's take a look at this. This one had its issues. You can see that not everyone is on focus, and this one is just reflecting as well. So sometimes when you take a picture, they just don't look good. In fact, let me show you a bad image right here. This one is just bad all around. The actual color of it is off. The focus is off as well. So when you take a picture, the hallmark of a good picture is to understand what you're doing wrong and then either try to fix it or just go ahead and redo it. In this one right here, as you can see, the color balance is off. So we have to try to fix it up. For example, bringing the brightness much higher would definitely fix this entire picture. It's going to make it look so much more better. So good that I have decided to just give it as a freebie to my client. Now some of them, as you take, there is a different background and the wooden background, and you can see some of them didn't come out at all, like this one over here, just too blurry. This one is actually perfect. I like it. It's not the best, but it is very good. And you can see over here some of them have reflections in them as well. So when you're making pictures, you want to give your client the best possible images. As you can see, the setup worked great. Most of the pictures came out almost perfect, and I really like the way they came out. Like this one looks professional. This is how it is shot in an actual studio. So this shows you how really beautiful work is being done when you put a lot of effort into creating the perfect atmosphere, using the lights to create the most perfect and the most amazing pictures.